Happy Monday. Welcome into this live edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest news and rumors from around the National Football League, as we'll be talking everything from Josh Jacobs to Saquon Barkley to Chase Young, Cordarrelle Patterson, and more. Plus, we'll do not one but two Q&A mailbags today. Coming up in just a matter of moments. Use the hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbags we'll be bringing you. As you guys file in and get this show on the road to begin your week, go ahead and tell us where your home state is. Not where you are at currently, but what is the state that you call home? Juan, Vegas is not a state last time I checked. That would be Nevada. Not Nevada either, by the way. But tell us what your home state is. There we go. BFace773's got it. Illinois checking in to the chat. I got New York, Florida from Paul. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Larry's in Cali. Tony's in Texas. Christopher's in Nebraska. I got Shamari in Massachusetts. Sammy in Oregon. And Christian in Texas. Oblivion Empire. We're asking for just the state. Don't need the city. New York. Don't worry about Jamestown. Micah, Alaska. I got Narto in Florida. Myself, Trace Gerard, here with you. And Trace, we are in your home state of Texas, where you've lived almost your entire life, right?
The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas. And myself, I'm glad to be living in Texas now, but I'm from Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, where the waving wheat sure smells sweet. You get the idea. Yeah. Let's see. We got Chaw in New Jersey. I got NFL Fan Zone in New York. Awesome. Great to see our audience representing from all around the country here on this Monday afternoon. Where will DeAndre Hopkins sign in NFL free agency? I'll be honest, we're not going to talk a lot about him today. We got other guys to get to, but I'm very curious as D-Hop is now a couple weeks into free agency. Ultimately, where is he going to go? Visiting the Titans today, expected to visit the Patriots this week, but Trizzy, an interesting note from Bill Belichick over the weekend. He said, I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to make it to his visit.
That's crazy. That's crazy if he can even make it. Like, was there a reason as to why he may not make it? Because I didn't see that.
The speculation is it has something to do with Bill O'Brien, the former Texans coach that was DeAndre Hopkins' head coach there in Houston. They didn't have the best of relationships. Bill O'Brien has come out and said that he's on board with bringing D-Hop in, but there's still questions about the tension that possibly might be there. So where will he sign? Tennessee and New England seem to be the favorites right now. One idea, and I'm going to bring this up later on, when we have our mailbag questions and all that. I was thinking about this, Trace. If you're the Tennessee Titans, we don't know who the Titans are at this point. They very well could make a playoff push and win that bad division.
Yep.
Or they could just fall apart and tank and start to rebuild, whatever. I could see a scenario where he signs with the Titans, and then if things aren't going well, if the Titans are in bad shape, trade deadline comes around and they just blow it up and they trade him to a contending team.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams goes and gets him and then says, you know what, trade deadline, we don't want him. We're not going to win some games. Get rid of him and try and recoup something in return. Because you could probably still trade him for early day 3 pick, and that has some value still.
Right. So, yeah. Maybe we'll see. Let's see. Christopher says the Patriots. X in the box says the Patriots. Christopher says New England. Shamari says New England. NFL Fan Zone says if I wasn't for the bias for the Giants, then the Chiefs. 8 in the box says Tennessee broadcaster ruined it for D-Hop, calling him wash. I don't think that D-Hop is signing one way or the other based on what the media says, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong there. Let's see. Chad Jones says Tennessee, and Steven says at Tennessee as well. So the chat seems to be pretty split one way or the other between New England and Tennessee. Pretty close between those two. If you got a question for me or if you got a question for Trace as well, send in your questions for the mailbag and we can answer them in our mailbag segment we'll get to. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get to the front of the line. And Trace, with the Super Chat, you're going to get your question up right away, and it's the only way that we can guarantee that we're going to see your question and react to it. If you use hashtag NFL, you might get on the mailbag, but if you Super Chat, we can guarantee you'll be in the mailbag segment.
And not only can we guarantee it, we'll go in depth. We will spend a little bit of extra time on your question. So it's not just, I get to skip the line. No, we go all in on your question. We break it all down, share all of our thoughts on it. So, if you really want an in-depth answer, I would highly recommend sending in a Super Chat. But otherwise, using hashtag NFL is just fine, and we'll get you guys on the mailbag.
And the Super Chat's the little secret in the room, helps pay our bills around here. So we make this show for free, but we love when you guys support us. And Super Chat as well. Hit that $sign below the chat box to contribute and get involved there. Shout out your favorite NFL team. Who is it that you root for each and every Sunday? And predict their record for 2023. How will they do this upcoming season? Let us know what you think their record will be. Be honest. If I see a 17-0 in the chat, we might just have to ban you. You might have to be in timeout or something if you pick 17-0 for your favorite team and go clearly show some bias there.
As a lifelong Cardinals fan, 17-0 definitely seems very doable this year, Tyler. I think it could happen.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals are definitely going 17-0.
Cardinals are probably more likely to go 0-17 than 17-0, but nonetheless, Zion says my Giants 10-8. Can't go 10-8 in the NFL. That's not possible, but I think you mean 9-8. Chad Jones says Miami 12-5. Let's see, Raiders 500. Zion says Giants 10-8. Again, not possible. AFX Apocalypse says 11-6. Jess says Bears 9-8. Zach says Panthers 16-1. Stop. Let's see. I got Sammy saying the Bears 10-7. Juan says Raiders 11-5. No chance. Nathan says Chiefs 14-3. That I could see.
Yeah.
That I could see. Finally, some reasonable people in the chat. Bears 9-8 says B-Face. A lot would have to go right for the Bears there, although they played a bad division. Let's see. Juan Hernandez, Raiders 11-5. Christian says Jags 11-6. Juan, they play more than those amount of games there. They can't finish 11-5. Let's see. Mohamedou says Giants 11-7. Shamari says Patriots 8-9. Oblivion Empire says Atlanta 10-7. Christopher says Broncos 7-10. Michael says Bears 10-7. Jess says Bears 9-8. And Steven says Tennessee 8-9 without Hopkins, 12-5 with Hopkins. A 4-game difference at D-Hop? That might be a stretch. Got a super chat from Paul. Paul, thanks for the first super chat of the show. Your thoughts on Dalvin Cook to Miami. So if you were watching us last week here on a live edition of NFL Daily, before the news came out that Dalvin Cook was getting released by the Minnesota Vikings, Trizzy and I think we were both on the same page, said that Dalvin Cook is going to be a Dolphin.
Yeah.
And now I'll say this much. The reports that came out today were that Dalvin Cook is not looking to take any discount of some sort, that he wants to be fully paid. But you have a Miami Dolphins team. I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what their cap situation is off the top of my head. But you have a Miami Dolphins team that's trying to capitalize everything they can at this point in time with a young quarterback, with their star receivers, with what they've invested in their defense, bringing in Jalen Ramsey and some other guys. The big thing that's missing for the Miami Dolphins right now is that running back position and having a star tailback. And Dalvin Cook could be that guy, not to mention that he is somebody that is from Miami. So it'd be a homecoming of sorts. I think you can pay him around $6 or $7 million. I think that's going to be what you're looking at money-wise for Dalvin Cook. If Miami can make the money work for them, then I can see that very well happening in him heading to Miami there. So Trace, I still think, even a week later since we last talked, I don't think that's changed. I think Miami's still the favorites.
Mm-hmm. I think Miami, they have like, what, $13 million about in available cap space. So I think that you can definitely go and afford to pay him. I just don't know if Dalvin Cook is worth a true running back one contract. I'm not saying he's a bad running back, but he's a little bit older. He's been on a steady decline, I would say. But he's still a great football player if he can fit into or find a scheme that he can fit well. And I think that Miami makes the most sense, just like you said.
So Chad Jones of Dolphins Today fame checking in. He's got a good idea.
Who?
Chad Jones.
Who?
$10 million guaranteed, $2 million signing bonus, and a 2-year contract. So that's what, $6 million a year at that point for 2 years?
Yeah.
And only a 2-year thing? I think that could make it work. You stay under the cap, you get your star running back, and you're not paying him for a long time, just a couple of years.
Yep.
Chad, I think you might be onto something there of something to that extent if you paid him that much. I think about $6 or $7 million is the per year range that Dalvin Cook is worth right now in the NFL at this point. But Paul, thanks for sending in that $2 super chat. I got 91 people watching so far. I got 21 likes. That's got to come up. We need more likes if we want to really begin this show and get this thing on the road. I need 40 likes. I don't think that's asking too much. I pulled out the Hawaiian shirt today. Now, the reason why I wore the Hawaiian shirt, though, was I did get a little grease on my lunch from my lunch today in my shirt. So this was the backup shirt that we had in hand. But you know what? It's summertime. It's Monday. We're here to have a good time. We're here to enjoy ourselves. If you like the shirt, tickle that like button. If you want this show to start, so I don't have to talk about my shirt, go ahead and hit that like button as well, and we'll get this show on the road to begin here on this Monday afternoon, here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Trace, we came on a little bit early today, too. We had so much to get to, so much to talk about, that we wanted to get on the air an hour early today than we normally do. But, the people out there, our Chat Sports fam, they deserve it. That we do this for them, and this is not the last show we're doing today, as our NBA crew is going to take over tonight. They're going to stay live here on this channel for the NBA Finals game, Nuggets and Heat. We're bringing you the best of both.
What more could you ask for? You're getting NBA, you're getting NFL, you're getting entertainment, you're getting information. What more could you want? Just hit the damn thumbs up icon. You know? It's an easy way for you to support the show, support what we do for free. Hit the thumbs up icon. And also, keep peppering the chat.
Yes.
Keep the chat rate going. Let's keep the comments popping. Treat it like you're at the bar with all your homies and you're just chirping the fans of other teams. You're talking to the fans of your team. Let's have some fun. Let's keep the comment section going all day.
Oh, absolutely. And the way I think of this, too, with the chat here, folks, I know not everybody can super chat and contribute and all that, and that's fine. But the easiest way that you can help us and support the show is by interacting and being involved, as Trace said, having that bar chat conversation among everybody out there, whether it's in that chat box or hitting that like button. Stay active, stay involved, and that helps out the algorithm. That gets more people to be involved and join us here on the show. We're at 29 likes. We need 11 to start the show. Wow, bam! A $20 super chat from Chad Jones. Who? Chad Jones. With a $20 super chat checking in. More on Dalvin Cook says, Dalvin Cook to Miami, Chase Young to Miami, and trade both Wilsons. Miami would be set. Chad, thanks for that $20 super chat on that.
Who?
Chad Jones.
Who?
Who invited?
Chad Jones.
Who invited you?
Chad says smooth as Tennessee whiskey.
Okay, thank you, Will. You care to answer this question for Chad here?
Yeah.
Go ahead and weigh in. Who invited this guy, by the way?
I'm always invited.
I don't think
Chad
so.
Jones is here.
All right.
Chad, check out the video I posted earlier today on Dolphins. I do believe that Dalvin Cook will be a Dolphin. 3 words. Do you know what I'm about to say?
Hold
He's
on.
a Dolphin.
Focus on this question.
He's a Dolphin.
This is for Chad and everyone else watching out there.
Yes.
Go ahead and weigh in on this question.
Chase Young, I think that's an unrealistic target, but knowing Chris Greer, he might try to take a swing there. Both Wilsons could be on the move. I actually think it's more likely at this point. I would not have said this even a week ago, but it's more likely at this point that Jeff Wilson gets traded instead of Ced Wilson. It's been a talk all offseason. Ced Wilson's the top trade candidate. But if they bring Cook to Miami, Jeff Wilson's gone. In my opinion.
Okay, so there you have it.
Thanks, Jack.
You're getting Dalvin. You're not getting Chase Young. And both Wilsons, maybe. We'll see as far as that goes. You know what? I think Will is actually pretty spot on. I don't think Chase Young, Trace is going to end up in Miami. First and foremost, when you look at Chase Young, the Commanders, they're taking calls, but they're saying they want to keep him. They're not actively trying to trade him, but they are getting calls for him. I still think more than likely he stays in Washington, but then even after that, there's a number of teams, we'll talk about that later, that are more interested than Miami is necessarily in Chase Young. Dalvin makes sense. The Wilsons, we'll see, but Chase Young, I'd be surprised if he was a Dolphin.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But we also got another one from Paul 5486. Shout out, Willie Beans! Willie Beans! Willie Beans!
Paul showing some love. Willie Fins. I'll even do. Willie Fins!
Willie
There we go.
Beans!
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Chad Jones, for showing some love. Dolphins today representing here on NFL Daily.
The Dolphins are the MVP of the week so far. The Miami Dolphins are the team MVP of the week. So if you want your team to win, better start sending in some super chats.
So of the other 31 fan bases, and I know we got fans of every team here, Cowboys, Raiders, Seahawks, and others. Are you really just going to let the Dolphins take over the chat like that?
I mean, South Beach is representing, man. They're ready to go. They're showing that they're always down to have a good time.
Right. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on the competition throughout the day.
For sure.
Far, Dolphins out to an early lead here on NFL Daily. Coming up next, NFL news and rumors. Not one but two Q&A mailbags, and then an update on Saquon Barkley and his holdout. We'll get to all of that and more in a moment.
Chad says, and when you say Miami, you're talking first round last in the playoffs. Playoffs. The Dolphins losing week one every year. The Dolphins losing first round of the playoffs. It happens almost every year.
When's the last time the Dolphins?
24 years. I have never seen a playoff win in my lifetime.
They haven't won a playoff game in 24 years?
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
24 years been that long?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. Nah, but the Dolphins are a historic franchise, but the last 25-plus years, or 25-ish years have not been that great. Not been that great.
No, and they got stuck with Skylar Thompson starting to play.
But you did get Fitz magic for a little bit, and that was fun. Ryan Fitzmagic was fun.
I will always have a special place in my heart for Fitzmagic.
If you're a real football fan, you love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
If you're a football guy, you love Fitzmagic.
You are a Ryan Fitzpatrick fan no matter where he played. Does not matter.
That beard and everything.
Does not matter.
Unbelievable. All right, news and rumors next. Two Q&A mailbags. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the show. And then Saquon Barkley holdout. We'll talk about all that and more. But first, let's start with the news and rumors here on a Monday. Glad to have you with us here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest news and rumors from around the National Football League as we are talking about Josh Jacobs as well as Chase Young, Cordarrelle Patterson, and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Quick survey to begin today's show. If you think James Bradbury was holding in the Super Bowl, like today's video, if you are a sorry Eagles fan that is still in denial, then go ahead and comment and tell me why. But real ones know he was holding. It was the right call. Right team won. Go ahead and hit that like button and we'll get started on today's show. So rumors are swirling around Las Vegas Raiders running back Josh Jacobs and his future with the organization. And we've talked about a lot over the last several weeks. One of the themes of this offseason has been running backs not getting paid and getting those franchise tags, or in the case of Dalvin Cook, getting released, and hoping that they would get that money, and it's just not been out there for them. Josh Jacobs, another one of those guys that got the tag but didn't get the money he was looking for and is still trying to get that money. Could he sit out this year potentially, or could he be traded elsewhere, or will he be back in Vegas and have a new contract? Let's catch up to speed on what Josh Jacobs' offseason has looked like. After he got the franchise tag on April 28th, he indicated that he hadn't been around the team in months, that there was no communication, that he was just not involved at all with the rest of the organization. Then on June 1st, he shared a video from the I Am Athlete podcast, and the video was advocating for Jacobs to play hardball in negotiations, to be very aggressive and to not give a discount of some sorts to the Raiders organization. Then on June 6th, he did not report to mandatory minicamp. Granted, he technically did not have to be there. I know it's called mandatory minicamp, but because he hadn't signed the franchise tag he was given, he's technically a free agent. So he didn't have to be there, but nonetheless, he was not there. Then that was followed up on June 8th. He liked a tweet from Robert Griffin III, the former NFL quarterback, now turned analyst for ESPN, that he tweeted out saying it was offensive how the NFL was treating running backs and their contract situations across the NFL. He then followed that up a couple days later with his own tweet saying, "We got to do it for the ones after us," referring to the guys after Josh Jacobs and others, hoping that they would get theirs and get paid as well. So here's the deal. The bottom line is this. July 17th is the magic day for Josh Jacobs and the Las Vegas Raiders to strike a long-term deal, or he'll be on the franchise tag for next season. Otherwise, he will not have a new contract in place, and we'll have to do this all over again in waiting to see where the negotiations go. That is the deadline for Vegas and for the Raiders to get something, is that July 17th date. Now, I'll say this. If I were the Las Vegas Raiders, and I am personally, when I look at this Raiders team, this is a team that is not going to be competitive in 2023. I don't believe the Raiders are going anywhere. Hate to break it to our Raider fans that may be watching, but the Raiders aren't going to be very good. If I was the Raiders, I would be working on trading Josh Jacobs right now and getting value out of him while I can get something for him. Because here's the deal. When you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, they are a long time away from getting back to where they need to be. And part of it falls on the head coach. Part of it's on the GM. I think they are a big work in progress ahead. I would move on from Jacobs now. I don't like paying long-term contracts to running backs as is. I think you are farther away from the top than you are from the bottom at this point. I would go ahead and move on from Jacobs and see what you can get. We'll see what they do. Top trade destinations for Josh Jacobs at this point, besides of where the Las Vegas Raiders could ultimately move on from him, include the Baltimore Ravens, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New Orleans Saints. So, our pin comment today, will Josh Jacobs play for the Raiders this season or not? Tell us what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Our pin comment today, you might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it and get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no. Will Josh Jacobs play for the Raiders this season or not? Let us know what you think. Chase Young, could he be on his way out from the Washington Commanders? CBS Sports revealed a list of top suitors for the edge rusher from Washington, and here's a look of what they are. We've been told that the Commanders are not necessarily shopping Chase Young, but they are answering the phone and are interested to see what other teams have to say. The list includes the Bears at number 1, staying in the division, Detroit at number 2, Seattle at 3, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 4. That's followed up by the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, and the Indianapolis Colts for those top 7 destinations for Chase Young if he were to be traded. Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports had this to say in particular about the Chicago Bears, who he had on top of his list. Matt Eberflus got a few expensive gifts this offseason, with Ryan Poles paying big bucks to replace Roquan Smith's playmaking at linebacker, while DeMarcus Walker is also an underrated addition. The coach still could use a premium edge rusher if he intends to oversee dramatic defensive improvement. Young could be just that, and better yet, he'd help the team keep a long-term focus as it builds around quarterback Justin Fields. With a league-leading $32.6 million in cap space, why not? Personally, I look at this. If I'm the Washington Commanders, I've already invested too much in Chase Young, a former number 2 overall pick, might I add you, to give up on Chase Young this early. You are not going to get anywhere close to the return on investment of what you gave up for Chase Young compared to where you picked him at. And I understand that he's been injured and he's missed a lot of time. But I feel like if you can get Chase Young to be healthy and be 100% out there, you are going to get an all-pro level edge rusher. And to me, I understand that the Commanders are a little strapped for cash with the other guys that they've paid, but I would like to give, if I'm Washington, Chase Young one more shot to see what he's got and then figure things out from there. So I wouldn't trade him, but they should have some suitors, and if they decide to go down that route, we'll see what they do. Where will Chase Young play next season? Will it be in Washington? Will it be somewhere else, one of those other teams that we mentioned? Let us know in the comments section where you think Chase Young is ultimately going to end up or not. Folks, encourage you to share today's video here on NFL Daily. If you click the share button, select the Twitter icon, and then click post to Twitter. If you tag me at Tyler Jones Live, then I am going to retweet you. And if you follow me, the first 10 people that follow me and share today's show, I'm going to follow you back on Twitter. Why? Because we feel like doing that around here. If you pat my back, I'll pat your back, and we can get this show out to as many people as possible so they can be a part of what we're doing here on NFL Daily. Share the show. Show us some love. We'll show you some love. Tag me on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live, and we certainly would appreciate it so we can get this show out to the masses to be a part of what we're doing here on the channel. Final up before we go, Cordarrelle Patterson of the Atlanta Falcons. Could he be on his way out of Atlanta? We already know about what the Falcons did, bringing in Bijan Robinson there in the NFL draft, but does that mean that Patterson's time in Atlanta is coming to a close? Bleacher Report is suggesting the Falcons should be looking to trade Patterson. Here's more from Christopher Knox. The 32-year-old is entering the final year of his contract, and the Falcons could save $4.3 million in cap space by trading him. While the return for Patterson wouldn't be massive, Atlanta should be able to get a pick or player back from a team with less backfield depth. Now, look at it this way. Here's something to think about. Remember, Cordarrelle Patterson has a lot of experience at the wide receiver position. And if you look at the receivers for Atlanta, they have a couple good weapons, but it's not a very deep receiver room there in Atlanta at this point in time. They don't need him to run the football. They got plenty of options there in Atlanta. Cordarrelle Patterson would barely be getting any touches as a running back. If he's going to stay in Atlanta, if I'm Arthur Smith and company, I'm moving him back to receiver. If he's not going to go back to receiver, then move on and get something while you can. He's 32 years old. I can't imagine you're going to get too much for him, especially as a second or third string running back, depending on what franchise he goes to. But nonetheless, that's what I'd be looking at. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm doing one of two things. Either I'm moving him back to receiver or you're moving on from him and saving money elsewhere. We'll see what they do. What should the Falcons do with Cordarrelle Patterson? Should they move him to receiver? Should they trade him? What do you think? Tell us in the comments section what you think the Falcons should do with him, and let me know. Don't forget, as always, to subscribe to the channel for the latest happenings across the National Football League. We got you covered here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports with daily news and rumors. We do our live shows on Mondays. We'll do our Red Zone channel throughout the season. This is the channel for the diehard NFL fans. Subscribe now for free today. You'll be glad you did, and we'll see you next time here on NFL Daily. All right, we got some Super Chats to catch up on. But in the meantime, that's one segment down and 3 more to go. Will Josh Jacobs play for the Raiders this season? What say you guys? Chad Jones says no. Chad, don't worry. We'll get to your Super Chats here in a moment. Matt saying no. Let's see. Juan says yes. What else do you guys think? Will we see Josh Jacobs back in Las Vegas? Jess says yes. Steven says no, but part of me says yes. Okay, that's understood. Richard says no. NFL Fan Zone says yes. Paul says no. Christian says no. Trace, what do you think?
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Real quick, the Patriots just waived James Robinson. So there's some NFL news. Just happened as we were talking about Josh Jacobs. So wanted to just give you guys that update in case you missed out.
Patriots
waived James Robinson.
Robinson was having some health issues. I'm not surprised. That tells me that New England's probably going to go sign a second running back.
Maybe Dalvin Cook could be headed to New England.
Maybe. I don't think they want Ramondre Stevenson to take a back seat. I think they're pretty well set on him being their number one.
Makes sense.
Dalvin, I think, is going to want to be a starter wherever he goes. But it does make things interesting for New England to see what they'll do. Yeah. Paul with a $5 super chat says, let's keep the Dolphin talk going. How elite can this Dolphins D be? Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I'm Will Scott. There we go. As far as how elite the defense can be, last year the Dolphins defense had a lot of struggles, but you bring in Jalen Ramsey and what that Dolphins did, I think they'll be improved, but I don't think they're going to be elite status. I think you're going to see improvement, but I wouldn't consider the Dolphins defense to be among the elites in the NFL as far as I'm concerned, but they will show improvement. One thing I'll say this too is you look at that division, Trace, with the Jets, their offense is spectacular. The Bills, their offense is spectacular. The Patriots' offense isn't bad. I think one thing that you're going to see with the Dolphins, their numbers are probably going to look worse than what they really are defensively because their competition is going to be better than most teams around the league.
But you also have to, like you said, it's worse than how it really looks. You got to use the eye test in some of these situations. And I feel like the Dolphins could be one of those teams where the stats may say that they don't look that great, but the performance and when you look at it on the field and you watch them play football, you'll see it's like, okay, they're not bad. It's just they're playing against the top-tier competition on the offensive side of the ball, which no big deal. Like, it happens. And I think the Dolphins' defense, though, could be top 15 for sure. I just don't know if I'd put them at like a top 8.
Yeah.
I'd say top 15 without fail, though.
Chad Jones with a $30 super chat. Chad Jones.
Who?
Chad Jones. Liam wore the orange jersey last week. Jackson slimmed down. We have better backups. Dalvin Cook will take us over the top. I like the confidence. I like the enthusiasm, Chad Jones, here about the Miami Dolphins. And I'll say this. What the Dolphins are doing, what reminds me with that organization, comparably speaking, is to what we saw with the Los Angeles Rams a couple of years ago, where the Dolphins are saying, F them picks. They're bringing in top talent, and they're going all in. And I love the aggressiveness that organization's shown. And if they add Dalvin Cook, that feels like something that they would do, something that is to their core of what they've done the last few seasons, how they're building this team. I love the aggressiveness. They're going all in. Watch out for Miami, because when you say Miami, you're talking playoffs. Reasonable playoff.
Talking playoffs.
But yeah, I very well think so. Jess with a $10 super chat checking in says Bears beat Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay ×2. The Chargers, Washington lose against Denver, Las Vegas, Miami, Detroit, Kansas City, New Orleans, Cleveland, Arizona. You think the Bears are going to lose to Arizona? Fields, 25 touchdowns in 15 games in 2022. Only who's on team in 2023 is edge. We upset the Chargers, get upset by Arizona, 9 wins. Okay, that was a lot to go over, the Bears. So now we said this was a competition today. We had a lot of Dolphins talk.
Oh, yeah.
Now Jess is representing the Bears fan base at Bears Now.
The Bears
and turning this into a Bears show.
The Bears fans have showed up. So
Dolphins fans, you're going to let that happen? You're going to let this turn into a Bears show? Let's talk about the Bears.
And also, Raiders fans, are you just going to let this happen? What about Cowboys fans?
Right.
Steelers fans, Eagles fans, are you Seahawks, Ravens, Chiefs fans, Saints fans? Are you all just going to let these teams make your fan base look bad?
Right.
Like, that's all I have. I just want to ask you that. You're really going to let them make you look bad? Just do what you want. Do what you want, but come on.
So let's talk about the Bears then with this $10 super chat. I love Justin Fields. I think he's going to have a fantastic season in 2023. The offensive line improved. That was the biggest thing that Justin Fields needed was improvement on the offensive line. They got it. So that certainly helps. They obviously still need some help at edge rusher. Wouldn't rule out Yannick Ngakoue or adding Chase Young or something to that effect there. I think you're going to see the Bears take a step in the right direction. I think that Jess is right, somewhere along the line of 8 or 9 wins potentially, maybe not a playoff team. But if you're Ryan Poles, I think what you're seeing from the Chicago Bears is that this team is playing the long game for that organization and investing in their future that way. The Bears, they're laying down a great foundation. And the biggest thing, too, Trace, they have a ton of cap space still to continue to build forward after this year.
Yep, absolutely. Chad Jones with another 5. Get it right. Super Bowl.
When you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl.
Because we're the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, we know the song.
We know the song.
When you haven't won a playoff game since 2000, let me just put it this way. We didn't even have iPhones last time. We didn't even really have cell phones that much.
I like this from Chad. Thank you. You're welcome, Chad.
It doesn't matter.
Chad, great last name.
Chad, we're all just having a good time, man. We're
right.
just chopping it up. Like we said, it's like you're at the bar with your homies. You got to be chopping it up and having some fun.
We didn't even have a super chat menu today.
But here we are.
And here we are, $74 later. The Dolphins have owned the chat today. Bears have gotten some noise in.
Hold on. I want to make a promise. I want to make a deal with them.
Okay.
We are close to 100.
We are close.
And I love making a
Honestly,
deal.
I don't think we've ever got $100 on an NFL Daily Show.
I would love to be Chad Jones, Dolphins fans, Bears fans. If you guys want to hit $100 in super chats today, I'll do a beer bong. I'll do a damn beer bong. Why not? Why not?
It might be the first ever beer bong on an NFL Daily live show.
And it'll be in less than 4 seconds. I'm just saying.
We're about $26 away. There's the offer.
Gonna put it out there.
$100. And whatever your team is, could be a Dolphin fan, could be a Bears fan, could be a Seahawks fan, I don't know. We will salute your team.
Yep.
When we do this.
Yep. Chad, if you want us to sing the Miami Dolphins theme song all the way through, we got to get to 100, my man. We will do it. I promise you we will, but we got to get to 100. Got to get to 100. Until then, it's when you say Miami, we're talking playoffs.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
$26, and we will do that. AFX Apocalypse wants the DK song. That can be done, too, for the Seahawks fans.
Oh, also, real quick, if we have any Browns fans in the chat, it's NFL Daily, so we're going to talk some NFL news and rumors and whatnot. Use hashtag NFL to ask us a question. Do you guys like the new dog logo?
Oh!
There we go. There we go. All right. Drink up.
Drink up.
Drink up.
When you say Miami,
you're talking Super Bowl because we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1. Hey, hey, hey. We're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1.
Hey, hey, hey. There you go. Wow. Over $113 on Maine today without a super chat.
So
Trace is going to do a beer bong.
Miami Dolphins #1.
All right. So
and
Trace.
Mario
says Raider Nation. Raider Nation, what's going on? Oh. I love it. Mario representing for the Raider fans. Right. Chad representing for the Dolphin fans.
We got to get into the next cut. We'll do the beer bong after this cut. Sound good, guys? That's the deal. We got to get into this next segment.
That's what we call a tease in the biz. Q&A next. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions in the mailbag. You guys we can make this an all Dolphins mailbag, potentially, if you guys super chat enough. Or an all Raider or all Bears, whatever it may be. Get your questions in using hashtag NFL or super chat. When we get done with the mailbag, then we will come back with the beer bong from Trace for the Dolphins fans out there. Matt, representing Raider Nation. Thank you, Matt, for that $2 super chat. We'll pop that on screen. Raider Nation. You called out Raider Nation, and they showed up.
Hey, Raider Nation always shows up when you ask them to. If you say, hey, where are the Raiders? They're going to make themselves heard.
Yeah, they made their presence known. So good mix bag today here on NFL Daily. Got a question? Use hashtag NFL or super chat, and we'll get started here with our first two mailbags today here on the show. We'll get started coming up in just a matter of moments. Hashtag NFL or super chat. In particular, I want some trade questions. If you got some trade ideas, send them my way, whether it is on your favorite team or somebody else out there. Give me some trade ideas that you may have, and we'll react to them coming up here on NFL Daily. Trace, we all set? We good to go? All right, here we go. Time for another award-winning mailbag edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to react to whatever questions you guys send us. It comes from our live shows that we do on Mondays, where people use the hashtag NFL or Super Chat. We answer your questions in real time. So, folks, here's what I need you to do. You may be saying to yourself, I would love to be a part of a mailbag. Well, you're in luck. If you subscribe to the channel, you can join us and be a part of our mailbags. Hit the notification bell. That way you never miss a moment of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Subscribe now for free today, and you'll be glad you did. First question comes from Dat1 Falcons fan. Well, glad there's at least one of you out there. Enjoy the Waffle House at the stadium while you can, and the Chick-fil-A and all that. That's a lot of food for one guy there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Nonetheless, Danielle Hunter to Atlanta. I really like Danielle Hunter. What a story to come back from the neck injury he had back in 2020, where he missed all of that season. Last year he was spectacular, and I think he's all that in a bag of chips. And I think you're looking at a guy in Danielle Hunter who still has something to bring to the table and can be a very good football player still for another team. Atlanta is ascending. They are on the up and up. And you got a young quarterback there in Desmond Ridder who's playing with a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. You bring in Bijan Robinson, a lot of excitement around there. Danielle Hunter could bring that team up another notch defensively. I like that idea potentially for Atlanta to go with Danielle Hunter. We'll see what they do. Steven writes, if it came down to the Titans or Patriots, which team do you think DeAndre Hopkins would sign with? So, Steven, I assume you're saying if all things are created equal, if they both offer the same deal. I'll give it to you that way, okay? I would lean towards New England. And here's why I say this, Steven. We don't know who the Tennessee Titans are, okay? That team is very confusing based on what they've done this offseason. At times, they've made it look like, hey, we are still trying to be a playoff caliber team. We're keeping Derrick Henry. We're keeping Ryan Tannehill. And then the next minute, they're not paying certain guys. And some of the moves they've made, it has been very confusing to see who the Titans are. And I think you could have a scenario where the Titans, let's say they sign DeAndre Hopkins, maybe the season doesn't go so well, and you come to the trade deadline, and all of a sudden they're trading DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, just blowing the whole thing up. If DeAndre Hopkins goes to New England, that team we know for certain is trying to compete and trying to win. I can't say the same about Tennessee. We don't know who they are. I would lean towards New England, but we don't know what D-Hop's thinking there. Chef Raider, what you cooking up, Chef? I'm always down to eat some good burgers or something. Whatever you got for me, Chef. Is there any chance the Raiders trade Davante Adams? He seems unhappy there. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't rule it out. this seemed like a preposterous idea a couple months ago. But when you read into the cryptic messages and the signals that Davante Adams has been sending in regards to how unhappy he is there and the way the organization's done things, you can understand why he would want to move on. I think there is a chance it could happen. You could still get a lot for Davante Adams as far as that goes. I would say it's unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out. And every team that needs a receiver would be lining up for Davante Adams. It's a big contract, sure, but he's still arguably the best receiver in the NFL at this point. And think about this. One more note I'll add on the Davante Adams front. What does history tell us when it comes to Josh? You go back to what Josh did in Denver. He chased off Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall. Now he comes to Las Vegas, and Derek Carr is gone, although I don't really blame him for moving on from Derek Carr. I understand that. But now Josh Jacobs might be gone. Davante Adams isn't happy. Darren Waller you chased out of town. Some things are par for the course, so we'll see. Will the Raiders trade Davante Adams? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Y for yes, in for no. Give me your input. What is ultimately going to go down? Tell me what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Will the Raiders trade Davante Adams or not? NFL Fan Zone says, do you think if Barkley can't sign, Giants trade him for round one, then send Cook with the opening in cap and trade for Davante Adams with round one and also receive a pick? Okay, let me make this very clear, okay? No one is giving up first-round picks for running backs. Period. Plain and simple. No one is giving up first-round picks for veteran running backs. And if they are very, very stupid. Let's begin there. Let's get that out of the way first, okay? Secondly, is there a world where Dalvin Cook ends up in New York? Yeah, possibly. If Saquon Barkley, if they can't come to terms with a deal, you would have to think that Dalvin Cook is going to be cheaper than Saquon Barkley is. Now back on the Davante Adams end of things. I very well think that the Giants, they're kind of weak at receiver, right? They're good but not great. Them, among other teams, are going to be picking up that phone and say, yeah, how much? How much is it? So the Giants very well possibly could make that move. We'll see what they do. NFL rookie jerseys are on sale now, whether you want to rep Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, maybe it's C.J. Stroud. Good news for you. We have all these jerseys on sale now in one place. Chatsports.com/NFL jersey. You can represent your favorite team and their new star young player and wear these jerseys. I got to tell you, a lot of these look really good. You can see there some of the ones that we're showing you: Jordan Addison, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, just to name a few. All of these, whatever your favorite team is, whoever they picked, we have their jerseys for you. I mean, Texans fans, you don't want to be wearing that Deshaun Watson jersey anymore. You need a quarterback jersey to wear. C.J. Stroud, we got it for you. Whatever you want to wear, we have them now on sale. And Father's Day coming up just around the corner. Still looking for a gift for Dad? I got you one. Get Dad one of these jerseys, one of these rookies. Chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Paul writes, your thoughts on Dalvin Cook to Miami? Because when you say Miami, this is for Chad Jones. You're talking Super Bowl. I can't say that too loud, though. Paul, Dalvin Cook and the Dolphins just make sense. It seems like on paper that is a match that makes sense between the two. Will it happen? We'll see. But what I would say is that those two parties involved, Dalvin Cook, what he's looking for to be a number one running back, to be a contending team and get paid, not to mention he's from Miami, that all adds up. And the Dolphins have the cap space to do it. That makes a lot of sense. We'll see if they do it. Paul, thanks for the $2 super chat. For your Dolphins, best of luck. Let's see if they can get Dalvin Cook. I think all signs point to that it's heading that direction. Christopher writes in, who do you think is the best player in free agency? I'm still shocked he's sitting out there. Yannick Ngakoue is still available at this point. Yannick is still out there, and we've been kind of just waiting here. I mean, Yannick was one of the best players when free agency began and is still available at this point. Chicago seems like they would be the favorites, but, I mean, they could have had him a long time ago. I don't know what the holdup is. Yannick Ngakoue is that guy. He's the best player in free agency at this point, but Dalvin Cook obviously is now one of those guys as well. Those would be your two. We'll see. Next question from Red Hog, better than Commies. I like that, although the Commies' names have been fun. Will Chase Young get traded and to where? I lean towards no. We've heard that the Commies, we'll call them that for this case, since you brought it up. I mean, I've heard Commie fans get mad at me for saying Commies, but since you brought it up, you're giving me permission to call them the Commies in this case. The Commies here, I don't think are going to move on from Chase Young. I think they're taking phone calls. You're not going to get the return on investment from the second-round pick you gave up to get him. You might as well see if he can be the player that you drafted him to be, if he can stay healthy and play at that high of a level. With that said, I think they're going to take calls. They're going to listen, but I would still be surprised if ultimately they move on from him or not. Watch out for Chicago. Watch out for Seattle, Pittsburgh, just to name a few of some of these potential teams that could be interested in Chase Young. Also, Detroit up there is a possibility as well. What team should trade for Chase Young? What do you think? Tell us in the comments section what a team makes sense to see Chase Young end up at. Give me one team that comes to mind that you think should trade for Chase Young. A couple more questions, then we'll wrap up here. Carter writes in, could Miami trade for Isaiah Simmons? If not, who could they trade for that's not a running back? We continue here on Dolphins Today. Isaiah Simmons, I like Isaiah Simmons a lot. He came out of Olathe, Kansas, before he went to Clemson, and then ended up being, what was it, like a top 10 pick or so when he went to the Arizona Cardinals. And I like Isaiah Simmons. I think that he's very athletic. He can do a lot of different things, but kind of like what we talked about the last few months with DeAndre Hopkins, is that where the Cardinals are headed, going down, it's counterintuitive to keep good players and pay good players like Isaiah Simmons when you're trying to get towards the bottom so you can, tank and capitalize on that draft capital and all that. With that said, Isaiah Simmons, could Miami trade for him? Potentially. Problem is that, they've been using a lot of those draft picks. What are their assets that they can give up? And then the cap space, too, because a guy like Isaiah Simmons, think about this, not only would you be bringing him in and giving up draft capital, whatever you may have, but also a guy like that you're going to have to basically give a new deal right away. Do you want to pay that and give up the draft capital? I don't know. Who could they trade for that's not a running back? That's a good question. Chase Young seems a little bit out of the question for them. Danielle Hunter might be able to work potentially. That might be a guy they don't have to give up too much on. Watch out, because when you say Miami, you're talking playoff. Juan says, our last question, do you think the Raiders can get Danielle Hunter? Everybody wants Danielle Hunter. Yeah, I think the Raiders could be in position to compete for him. The Raiders need a lot of help on their defense. Their defense was cheeks for most of last year and gave up a lot of big plays. Danielle Hunter would be a nice improvement for that group and could get some positive vibes going for what's been, I would say, an offseason where there hasn't been a whole lot of momentum for that team. That could end that offseason on a high note. They bring in a guy like Danielle Hunter. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. You can follow me there. I'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily. All right. So we are 2 segments down, 2 to go, halfway through this live edition of NFL Daily. Tyler Jones and Trizzy Trace here with you on this Monday. What team should trade for Chase Young? weigh in and tell us in the comment section. We'll talk about Saquon Barkley here in just a moment. And Trace is going to go pay off a beer bong for the Dolphins fans that made it happen. So we'll be bringing that to you in a matter of moments. But first, what team should trade for Chase Young? NFL Fan Zone says the Giants. Chad Jones says Miami. Let's see. What else we got? Carter says Miami as well. So Miami so far the leader in the chat, it seems, of who you guys want to see land Chase Young. What team should do so? Let us know in the chat. Keep those comments coming in of where you think Chase Young should land. Beer bong on the way. Let's see. What else we got here? Lore says the 49ers. AFX Apocalypse says Seattle. I'd love to see him be a member of the Seahawks. GM Evans says Pittsburgh. Christopher says, what would a team need to give up for Chase Young? Probably at least a second-round pick. Probably more beyond that. Chad Jones says Miami is dedicated. Richard says the Bears, one of those teams. So there's a few that come to mind. Here is Trace, ready to go with the beer bomb.
What up, Dolphins fans? How you doing?
This is for the Dolphins fans that made this happen. Put us over $100 on NFL Daily. I don't know if that's ever been done on a live edition of NFL Daily, but here we are. And so we're witnessing history. As a reward to the NFL and Dolphin fans out there, Trace has got the beer bong ready to go. And you're going to see this go down so fast, folks. Prepare to be amazed.
Little happy dad.
A happy dad for a happy dad like Trace.
Okay, let's do it.
Here it goes.
3,
2, 1. There it goes. And he's off. Bang! How about that? Are you not entertained? Outstanding. Outstanding. How was that?
So good.
So good. So good. You'll love to see it. Got another mailbag coming up later on. If you didn't get your questions in the last mailbag, don't worry. We can get you yours coming up later. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat. Mikey with the first Super Chat ever. First time Super Chatter. Check it in the show. Mikey, thanks for joining us with that $5 Super Chat. With the NFC East never repeating winners, Dallas getting worse in the offseason. I don't think that's true, by the way. I think Dallas did get better. The Giants getting so much better. Why can't the New York Giants take the East this season? I understand what history says, but here's what I would point to, okay? The number one thing, don't get mad at me, Mikey, but I think Trizzy and I can sit here and say, respectfully, the number one doubt about the New York Giants is still Daniel Jones. Last year was an improvement. It was a step in the right direction. But can he do that again? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that Daniel Jones has proven that he can be a decent quarterback, but I think that he's got to prove that he can be a great quarterback. The Giants want to take that leap and take that step to being the divisional champions.
So to what Mikey is saying, Trace, if you and I sat here today and we said that Daniel Jones, without question, was a great quarterback, then we'd say, yeah, they can win that division. But because we don't know what Daniel Jones is going to do for an encore in 2023, that's why, as Chad Jones points out, Jones is inconsistent. We don't know what we're going to see out of Daniel Jones in 2023. Eagles, I think, are the favorites in that division. Cowboys and Giants are still very good teams.
Yeah, and I think that with Daniel Jones, a big thing to keep in mind is that not only is he have the ability to throw the ball, but he has a lot of running ability. My only thing is, and Brian Dable, he's in a good situation. Brian Dable, if any coach can bring the best out of Daniel Jones, it's Dable. But I need to see Daniel Jones run 60 yards without tripping. I just have to see it happen more than, at least 2 times in a row. That's just a me thing, though. So, Mikey, we appreciate the question. But honestly, I think that the Giants will make the playoffs again this year. I really think that they're a team that could end up in the postseason once again.
Yeah, I think they very well could.
Yeah.
So that, to me, is the thing that I wonder about the Giants, and why I can't completely buy in. I don't know what he is going to do. Now, Mikey followed it up and made an interesting point. He said, remember what he did last year, throwing to Richie James and Marcus Johnson. He has Hodgins, Campbell, Waller, etc. now. And yes, 15 throwing last year, but 7 running. You still hung up on the one trip his whole career. Look, we're not. Let me get this.
Mikey, it was a joke.
Let me make this very clear.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was simply a joke.
Right. We're laughing about that.
Guys being
but
dudes.
Let me make this very clear, Mikey. We are not doubting Daniel Jones. We're not saying that he can't be great, but we need to see that before we step out on a limb and say they are going to win the division. I'm just saying what I need to see for it to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you bring up a good point. He did what he did with not a great receiving core. It's better than it was last year. You brought in Jalen Hyatt. You brought in Darren Waller. I mean, that's a lot better of a receiving core. Darren Waller's got to stay healthy. That's a big one. I mean, call it how it is. Darren Waller's had health issues. Just black and white, that's how it is. But I think that the Giants have the tools to succeed. They just have to be able to put the recipe together to get the best outcome, you know. And I think that Brian Dable could definitely make that happen.
So, folks, we told you today that we were battling between teams who was going to own the chat. $121 in super chats to this point. Dolphins have been kind of leading the chat, but we've seen the Raiders represented. Now Giants representing.
The Bears were in there as well.
The Bears.
Also,
what fan base is going to be the MVP of the day? So far, the Dolphins out to an edge.
Who's winning? And I'm not a scientist or anything, but I feel like whoever's fan base shows up the most has a very good chance at making a big playoff push this year. I mean, I think that you'll make the playoffs no matter
It's science.
What. It's how it works. It's how it works. And also, Mikey, we're about to get into your boy Saquon, so I hope you're ready for this. I hope you're excited.
What about this? So we're at 121 right now. What are we going to do for the fan base that gets us to 150?
The fan base that gets us to 150.
I think I might have to do a beer bong.
I think you have to. Yeah.
We're
30 away.
I'll do a beer bong in honor of whatever team gets us to 150. We're about just under $30 away from that point. I will do it. And granted, I host Seahawks Today here at Chat Sports. Niner fans, you may be watching. That might be a great way to taunt me if it was a Niner fan that put us over the top to get that mark. But you know what? I'm a man of my word. It doesn't matter who does it.
Before we get...
Oh! Chad Jones!
Who? Chad Jones! Who? Chad Jones! Let's go! And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, because we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1. Hey, hey, hey. We're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1.
Hey, hey.
Look out, football, here we come. Miami Dolphins #1. Let's go.
Chad Jones.
Let's go. What a move.
Chad Jones.
Who? Chad Jones.
Wait.
Who?
Chad Jones.
Tennessee wins big.
What a guy.
What a move.
He's a legend here on Chad Sports. He's super Chad.
Let me
What
say
a
this.
guy.
Come back for a second here.
What a move by Chad Jones.
We all day long here in NFL Daily, we have had a battle between all 32 fan bases of the National Football League.
The Dolphins are winning this.
And, you know, we'll give credit where credit's due. Bears showed up. Raiders showed up. Giants have showed up.
Giants showed up. The Giants have showed up in a good way as well.
But it has been Finn's Nation.
This stream has taken place in Miami.
We didn't even have a super chat menu for Maine. And the Dolphins said, Chad Jones and company, they wanted to party.
We appreciate you so much, Chad. You're a legend.
$100.
$100.
Who?
Chad Jones.
Who?
Chad Jones.
Can you tell them to get me a beer bong?
Just to bring in a beer. Just bring a beer. We have the fun already.
Okay. No Bud Light though.
We're getting that going for you, Chad. So while we're waiting for that, Mikey, pay Quan. I'll argue that till death. we're going to talk all about it, man. We're going to talk
all about the Dolphins.
It's going to be a good time. I didn't know Isaiah Pacheco was so fast from AFX. Yeah. Also, real quick, if you hate the Cowboys, can we just get an F the Cowboys in the chat? Can we just get an F the Cowboys? Because
I think that's something that...
That's 31 teams.
No, get that out of here.
31 teams across the NFL.
I am not drinking that. How dare you?
Can make an argument and agree on this. It's F the Cowboys every single day.
I'm not drinking Bud Light. I can tell you that right now. Nice try.
That's funny.
No, Dolphins fans would not want me to drink Bud Light. I will not put that on them. I'm not doing that. Sorry. You're going to have to give me a real beer. There we go. The chat uniting with the F the Cowboys. I like that. That's great to see. AF Apocalypse bringing up the Steelers into this. Okay.
Real quick, also, do y'all like, I'm going to go grab Tyler a beer. Do y'all like
a real beer, not Bud Light.
Do y'all like the new Browns
Yeah, there
logo?
we go. Chad Jones, tell Will this. He says in all
Chad
caps.
Jones paid for it, so he gets to pick what you're drinking.
Chad Jones said in all caps, no Bud products.
No Bud products.
Chad, you're a real one. No Bud products. We agree. What Chad Jones says goes. We're not drinking Bud Light here. It's not happening. What do you guys think of the new Browns logo? I personally like the Dolphins logo better. But what do you guys think? Weigh in as Trace gets a real beer. Chad Jones, Miller.
Light beer from Miller.
Yes.
Light beer from Miller.
Yeah, there we go. A real beer. Not a Bud. We're not doing that here. Trace, go ahead and go to the 2-box so I can take my headset off here. Really? Oh, that's funny.
So good.
Chad Jones said no Bud products.
That's
we
what
are
Chad
honoring
Jones
that.
said.
Yes.
That's what Chad Jones said. So we have to go off what Chad said.
All right. Go ahead and throw Chad.
All right, Chad Jones. All right, so let's get the chugs in the chat. Let's get the chugs in the chat. Yeah, Chad Jones saying F the Cowgirls. Matt, NFL fan, AFX. They're all saying F the Cowboys.
No Bud.
Light beer from Miller. Light beer from Miller. Voila. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him.
I can't promise that mine will be as fast as Trace, but I'll give an effort.
All right.
Here we go.
Let's see it happen. Chug, 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 chug. Let's go! Let's go! There you go. Attaboy,
Chad
Teacher.
Jones specifically asked for no Bud products. Did he? Yes.
Attaboy, Teacher.
There we
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Actually. Oh.
What?
There we go. No
Isn't that
Bud
electric?
products here.
Isn't that electric?
That was electric. Oh.
I'm trying to get the raise.
Over $220 in a super chat today. Sorry, I got a little too much foam in there. Chad says I will drink Corona for you guys. Okay. So the rest of us don't have to have the coronavirus. That's good. All right, let's go ahead and get to this third segment today as we're talking Saquon Barkley and his potential holdout here. We'll break that down next here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Oh, excuse me. There's a nice Miller burp for you. Who's this chick? Okay. Courtney Cronin. We got the TV on ESPN, and this Courtney Cronin, she's pretty cute. Give me some, folks, do some Googling or something. Get back to me on her. All right, here we go. Paul says South Beach, the new sports capital. I agree. Saquon Barkley, the latest on him. We'll bring it to you right now here on NFL Daily. Welcome in, NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest on Saquon Barkley. We will explain the situation with Saquon Barkley of a potential holdout and if he is traded, where he could go. Also, how did we get to this point? We'll go over all of that coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, though, I want you guys to weigh in and get this show started. Will Saquon Barkley play for the New York Football Giants this season? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. Will Saquon play for the Giants or not? Tell me what you think. Y for yes, N for no. So, the New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley has not ruled out the possibility of sitting out entirely for the 2023 NFL season. What does that exactly mean? How did we get here where Saquon is talking about this idea of just simply not playing at all? Well, that's what we're here for, to catch you up to speed. Saquon Barkley, speaking to the media over the weekend, had this to say. For me, it's like we got until July 17th. That's the tag deadline, by the way, for extension. They can say what they want. We can say what we want, just one day at a time, one day at a time. Now that day comes, and I have to sit down and have that conversation. Then I will sit down and have that conversation. I don't think Saquon Barkley wants to leave the New York Football Giants, but you can understand his frustration of not having a deal. And we've seen guys all across the National Football League at the running back position not getting that money that they have wanted, that they've desired to get. And Saquon Barkley, another one of these guys that's just sitting here and hoping he gets something and not being on the same page with the organization, and the guaranteed money being the issue at hand here. More from Saquon on where things stand. I feel like there's been some things out there that's been misleading. You know, obviously the sources or the stories that have been out there, but I've been public. I came out public, and I've been open about it. I said I want to be a Giant for life. This is where I want to be, and at the end of the day, it's all about respect. That's really what this is. So Saquon didn't like the leaks, and you can understand that. And he wants to be paid. He wants to be respected, wants to be a Giant. Sounds like simple thing, but obviously there's a long way to go to still get to that point. What is your one-word reaction to the Saquon Barkley holdout here? What do you think? Give me one word to describe it all. This is our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Tell me one way or the other. What is your one-word reaction to the Saquon Barkley holdout? All right, so let's tell you 4 things you need to know on this situation. The conflicts between Saquon and the New York Football Giants start with the issue of guaranteed money, of Saquon wanting a certain amount there that he wants to be able to get no matter what, and the Giants not necessarily being on the same page there. He has not signed the franchise tag, which would pay him $10.1 million for this season. And so with that, he will not be at mandatory minicamp this week. Because he hasn't signed the franchise tag, he is technically a free agent, so he doesn't necessarily have to be at mandatory minicamp. But if he were to sign said franchise tag, then he would be required to be at mandatory minicamp. He claims that he's never wanted to reset the running back market. When it comes to money-wise, that this is not a deal for him to, kind of reset and be the highest-paid running back. That's not what he's trying to do. That he's just trying to secure things for himself and his future. With that said, here's a look at the most guaranteed money for running backs around the league. Christian McCaffrey at $30 million in San Francisco. Derrick Henry in Tennessee at $25.5. Bijan Robinson, who the Falcons selected in the top 10 of the draft, coming in at $21 million. Alvin Kamara at $17.8, and Nick Chubb at $17.1. The contract projection that is out there for Saquon Barkley at this point in time looks to be around a 3-year deal worth $42 million, with 28 of that guaranteed. That would give him the second most guaranteed money of any running back out there on the market at this point, with an average about $14 million per year. So we want to ask you, should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? What do you think? Type T for trade, type K for keep. What's your thoughts on the idea of keeping Saquon Barkley around or not in New York? Tell us in the comments section. T for trade, K for keep. We are selling rookie jerseys from across the National Football League. Bijan Robinson, who we mentioned there, his jersey's on sale, as is C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Christian Gonzalez, and many others. We have them available for you at chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Father's Day coming up just around the corner. And you may be saying to yourself, I'm still looking for a gift for Dad for Father's Day. Or maybe you're a dad and you're nudging your son or daughter saying, like, hey, I need one of those jerseys. Well, now's your chance to get one. Chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Get yours today while supplies last. Look, these guys, you're hoping they're the face of your franchise for a long time. Now's the chance to get one of these jerseys and maximize the amount of time they're going to be representing your favorite team. Get yours today, chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Saquon Barkley, he's faced a few injuries over his short career in the National Football League, but nonetheless, he's still been a two-time Pro Bowler as recently as last season in 2022, as well as 2018 when he was the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year. A number 2 overall pick out of Penn State back in 2018. It feels like we've known Saquon Barkley for a long time because when he was coming out of Penn State, he was all that in a bag of chips. He was expected to have a brilliant career. When he's been healthy, he has been brilliant. And he's coming off a year last year where he had a career season with, in 16 games played, nearly 300 carries for 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaged 4.4 yards per carry, and also was fantastic as a receiver as well with 57 catches for 338 yards. Saquon Barkley was great last year. If ultimately the Giants were to move on from Saquon Barkley, there's 5 teams in particular that we think here on NFL Daily would have specific interest in Saquon Barkley. The Baltimore Ravens, and it sounds like that there's questions about J.K. Dobbins' future there in Baltimore, so he could slide in right away and be a great fit to play alongside Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken's new offense there in Baltimore. The Kansas City Chiefs are always looking for weapons around Patrick Mahomes. They already have Pacheco there. You pair those two up together, all of a sudden you have maybe one of the best backfields in the league. When you say Miami, you could be talking Saquon Barkley potentially. They're looking for a primary ball carrier. Obviously, there's been the rumblings there about Dalvin Cook, but if you can't get him, maybe Saquon's an option. The Minnesota Vikings looking for a replacement for Dalvin Cook, and then the New Orleans Saints who are looking for help for their new quarterback, Derek Carr. Those are the 5 teams in particular we're watching for. What team should trade for Saquon Barkley? What comes to mind of a team specifically, whether it was somebody we talked about or somebody we didn't talk about today that you think should trade for Saquon Barkley? Tell us in the comment section. Name a team that comes to mind that you think should make a move for the New York Giants running back. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there talking about all things across the National Football League, and I'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily. Okay, 3 segments down, 1 to go. We'll do one more Q&A mailbag coming up in just a second. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on our next mailbag segment. Should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? T for trade, K for keep. Matt says trade. NFL Fan Zone says keep. Let's see. Chad says the Giants are lowballing him. Paul says trade. Chad says I don't think anyone will trade for him. Ricky says trade. Let's see. NFL Fan Zone says keep. Trace, if I'm the Giants, kind of like what you and I talked about earlier, you don't know what you're getting out of Daniel Jones in 2023. I think Saquon Barkley is the perfect safety net. I know that I don't personally like giving long-term deals to running backs, but I think for what the Giants are trying to do and where they're at, it would be in their best interest probably to give some type of 2 or 3 year deal with some guaranteed money for Saquon Barkley and keep him around.
Yeah, I think that, Saquon is one of those players that he really is an impactful guy and he can do a lot of things. So I think the Giants keeping him around makes all too much sense in the world. I think that the Giants would be fools to let Saquon Barkley walk because it's not like this guy can't still produce. He can still put up really, really good numbers. So I think that the Giants bringing him back, it should be a priority to sign Saquon Barkley and keep him around in New York for, the extended future. Because I think that he, like you said, he wants to be a Giant. just a matter of making the deal happen at this point. You just got to make it happen.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, guys? Should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? Richard says trade. NFL Fan Zone says keep. Let us know what you guys think in the chat box there. Paul with a $2 super chat says South Beach is the new sports capital. Trace, in case folks are just joining us, it has been the sports capital of this show today. Yeah. The Dolphins fans leading the way in this super chat battle.
For sure. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and we're currently at $223 in super chats. If we can get to 300, I'll do another beer bong, man. I'm ready to have some fun. It's a Monday. Got to shake off the weekend a little bit. Got to feel good. Got to get the energy right.
So what'd you say we had to get to for another beer bong?
I'm sorry?
What'd you say?
We got to get to 300. So
300 is the magic number. We are at basically $223 right now. So we are about $77 away.
Give or take, yeah.
From another beer bong. And Trace will do it. He's faster than me. You've seen that. And the Dolphins have owned this chat today, but here you go, people out there of the other 31 teams. This is your chance to take back the mantle here on NFL Daily. So far, the MVP, the team of the day, has been the Dolphins. They have made their case. We'll see if somebody else steps up to the plate. One more mailbag. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions in. And let me know if you got any trade ideas specifically. I want to hear those in this mailbag segment. Send in your questions, hashtag NFL or Super Chat, and we will answer whatever questions you guys have coming up in just a bit. Trace, we all set? All right, here we go. Welcome in, NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will answer your mailbag questions. But first, you may be saying, how do I get involved in a mailbag? Well, good news for you. If you subscribe to the channel, then you can get your questions in and join us for our live mailbag segments. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment. Subscribe now for free as we're talking about the NFL each and every day. We answer your questions on our live shows using the hashtag NFL or Super Chatting. Love to hear from you there. We'll get started with today's show. Our first question in the mailbag this week from NFL Fan Zone says Jalen Hyatt, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Don't see that happening. Typically, the Offensive Rookie of the Year award usually goes to a quarterback or a running back. I think Bijan Robinson's got a very, very good chance of being the Offensive Rookie of the Year. If it's not him, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, one of those young quarterbacks will likely be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. The other thing to think about with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award in the case of Jalen Hyatt is that he's going to be sharing the load at the receiver position. Take example, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I think is the best receiver in this past draft. He goes to Seattle, but he's going to be their number 3 receiver. He is one of the best rookies in this draft, but when you have to share receptions with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, that hurts your chances to be Rookie of the Year. Same goes for Jalen Hyatt with Darren Waller and some of those other guys in New York. I would put it at a very slim chance Jalen Hyatt wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Mikey checks in and writes, Rams, Commanders, and Cardinals with the first 3 picks of the draft next year. I think the Rams could be better than what people think. I don't know if they'll be top 3 worthy. Commanders, they could be in the discussion. Cardinals are going to be very, very bad. And here's one idea I would think about. I know people were wondering when Kyler Murray is going to come back this upcoming year for Arizona, if he's going to be back by the midway point, whatever it may be. If it's very clear that their season is as bad as we anticipate, why wouldn't you just give Kyler Murray like a redshirt year of sorts and just have him sit out and stay healthy and invest in your future that way? And, depending on how things go for Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, I like Baker personally, but if he were to get hurt or, you look at the rest of the talent around him, there's some issues there, Tampa might be one of those teams if things do not go as planned. I don't think Todd Bowles is that good of a head coach. Paul says, could Ndamukong Suh return to Miami for D-line help? Yeah, it could happen. Paul, would not rule out that possibility. Ndamukong Suh, I think, is a very fine football player. He's had a Hall of Fame caliber career. Wouldn't rule out that idea. I know Seattle has been mentioned when it comes to Ndamukong Suh, and coming off a season where in Philadelphia he was just one of those other pieces. Obviously, he's not the same player that he once was, but can still have an impact on a team. Miami might have a shot. Coach Scott writes, what are the chances the Titans sell the farm at the trade deadline if they get off to a bad start? Coach Scott, I got an idea for you. Hear me out on this, folks. Let's go by this piece by piece here, okay? If the Titans don't look good at the very beginning of the season, which in all likelihood seems that could happen, here's what I could see go down with the Tennessee Titans. I could see them, let's say things aren't going well. They trade off Tannehill, trade off Derrick Henry. Maybe they even sign DeAndre Hopkins here, and they trade him off too and just get whatever they can and start the rebuild process and completely start over with that team. That could happen with Tennessee realistically. They are kind of that, what do you want to call them, milquetoast of sorts. You got some things that are good, but then you got some things that are not so good. Tennessee doesn't know who they are. If they're contending, then they could go all in, kind of like a baseball team, buyers at the deadline. If not, then sell potentially. So we'll see. But yes, I think that could be a possibility. They could trade off Tannehill. They could trade off Derrick Henry. They could trade off DeAndre Hopkins if they side him. We'll see. Will the Titans be a playoff team this season? I say no. What do you think of that idea? Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Will Tennessee be a playoff team or not? Y for yes, in for no. Mario says, what NFL running back do you believe comes to a deal before the July deadline? I'm watching for Saquon Barkley. To me, that's the guy because of those running backs that are out there. He is in kind of the most stable or best fit organization at this point in time. The Raiders are a hot mess. The Raiders are going to be very bad. That's another team that could have one of those top 3 picks, too. They're going to be awful. So the Raiders could be in a rebuild of some sorts there. So I don't know how they're going to get a deal done with Josh Jacobs. Saquon Barkley, that offense is dependent on Saquon Barkley. They need Saquon. And so with that, I think that they need to find a way to keep Saquon around and pay him what it takes to stay for the next couple seasons and keep that offense running through Saquon Barkley. To me, the New York Giants are the team to watch out for. Mikey says, how'd the Cowboys get better? Their big signing were 2 30-year-olds on their 4th teams, an unproven rookie defensive line, and they only beat the Giants by a single possession last season. How did the Cowboys get better? I like what the Cowboys did personally with the additions that Dallas made this offseason. And, first off, I think Tony Pollard is going to, with his increased workload coming off the leg injury, is going to be an improvement from him having to share the workload with Ezekiel Elliott, okay? And then on top of that, Brandon Cooks, I liked. Maybe, Mikey, you don't like Brandon Cooks so much, but I think that's a nice possession receiver to have. He's been a 1,000-yard receiver wherever he's been across the NFL. To me, that's a good fit for Dallas on that front. And then you go to the corner room and what they're doing. Obviously you still have Trevon Diggs on one side, but then you add Gilmore on the other. I think Stephon Gilmore is fantastic. I think you pair those two up, and all of a sudden you have a dynamic corner duo. I like what Dallas did. I think that Gilmore and Cooks are better than what most people give them credit for and what they think. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling you what I honestly think. I like what the Cowboys did. I thought they took steps in the right direction. The draft was not bad for them either with some of their additions. Watch out for those Cowboys. Kirk Thuggins. I like it. What are the odds the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins after this season? Very, very high. I'm going to pull up Kirk Cousins' contract information in real time here, folks. But Kirk Cousins, think about this. So next year, this year in particular, he is set to make around $48.75 million. Next year, he would be due about $28.5 million in his contract. And the Vikings, I think, are going to take a step back this year. We were giving our guy Seeps a hard time the other day because they are the team that is setting up to be disappointing. I thought the Vikings got a lot worse this offseason. They got really lucky at times last year. The defense was cheeks for a lot of last year as well. I think the Vikings finally move on from Kirk Cousins, get what they can out of him, and do something next offseason. Not to say that they necessarily have the quarterback to replace Kirk Cousins right now, but think about it this way, okay? Let me put it as simply as this. When you got a guy like Kirk Cousins, you have to ask yourself, is it worth paying this guy to get above average to good quarterback play when we can get a rookie quarterback that might be just as good or better and save us a whole lot of money? It's simple as that. And if you're the Minnesota Vikings, if you're going to rebuild next year and with the quarterback class that's going to be available next year with Caleb Williams and Drake May and company, I would be surprised if Kirk Cousins is still around after this year. Where will Kirk Cousins play in 2024? Tell me in the comments section where you think ultimately he ends up. Give me a team. Maybe it's Minnesota. Maybe it's somebody else where you think Kirk Cousins is going to play next season. Richard says, do you think the Bears will trade for anyone? Watch out for Chase Young. That is the team. If Chase Young is going to leave, they're going to move on. That is going to be the first team that everybody comes to mind because they have a needed edge rusher and they got more money to spend than anyone else. Watch out for the Bears. Last question from NFL Fan Zone. Josh Jacobs traded to the Giants. Well, then you got the same problem you have with Saquon Barkley, paying a running back and paying him long term. And personally, I'd rather have Saquon Barkley than I would Josh Jacobs. And Saquon wants to be there. He's familiar with the organization. That one just doesn't add up. I don't see why Josh Jacobs would be in New York but not in Vegas. But nonetheless, we'll see. Subscribe to the channel now. We're covering the NFL each and every day here on NFL Daily. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on the channel. All right, there we go. We are done with our segments today. Where will Kirk Cousins play in 2024? Tell us in the comments section where you think he'll ultimately end up. I see AFX Apocalypse says the Commanders. Let's see. Martin checking in from England. Thanks for being here with us, Martin. Much love to you. Yes. Yeah, thanks for giving us that freedom. Paul says the Commanders. That's interesting. The consensus seems to be the Commanders. Paul says the San Francisco 49ers. I like Brock Purdy, though. I think Brock Purdy's going to have a nice year. I don't think they're going to need Kirk Cousins as far as that goes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll put the sub link in the chat. Trace, what a hell of a day here. I'll be honest, I was not expecting today to go like this here on NFL Daily.
Honestly, same. So I'm gonna because we got some super chats that came in. I want to give the opportunity to get the shot clock on. So 2 minutes.
We don't normally do this on this show.
We don't. 2 minutes. Super chats keep us live. If we don't get any super chats, it's totally fine. We'll hop on out of here, do our other work for the day.
Right. So here's the deal. We're putting 2 minutes on the clock.
Right there.
We can talk about your team. Dolphins fans out there, Bears fans, Raider fans. And this is your final chance to claim the MVP award for your team. Dolphins have a big lead. Also, if we get to $300, Trace is doing a beer bong. So, $77 away from that beer bong. Shot clock's on. We get a super chat, we stay live. Otherwise, we sign off and call it a day.
No, ain't no thing if we sign off. Ain't no biggie. But we want to hang out with y'all. We like Dolphins fans. If you want to keep chopping it up about the Fins, we can. Giants fans, Mikey, we can keep talking Giants, keep talking Danny Dimes,
Raiders,
Saquon.
Cowboys,
We got
Seahawks, whatever.
all the fan bases in here. We have 54 people watching. That means every fan base is covered.
Right.
Even the Chargers.
This is your chance to represent your team right now and prove that you have the best fans in the NFL.
1 minute remaining. 60 seconds left. 60 seconds left. Did you guys enjoy the show today? If you enjoyed the show, just give me a Y for yes. Just give us a Y for yes.
Trace, I had a hell of a time.
I had a hell of a time as well. I had a great time. When you get to get on here and talk about some NFL football, it's always a good time.
Right. Just guys being guys talking ball.
Homies being dudes, guys being bros, and boys being lads. You know, it's just how it be.
Even the Charger fans.
Even the Chargers fans. They're even
How much time we got on the shot clock?
30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds, down to the wire.
30 seconds remaining.
What do we think, boys?
Who's going to send in a super chat? I feel like
Paul
if one
says,
comes
fantastic show today, fellas.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm not ready to be done. Paul or whoever, just
all right.
a super chat. We can keep going.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Well, give it a second to let YouTube process. But in the meantime, folks, we have had a fantastic day here on the channel. Talking NFL football with you. The MVP is the Dolphins. Shout out to Fins Nation for delivering here. Chad Jones specifically for giving us an exciting day today here on the channel. Chad, much love to you and the Fins fans. We had some love coming in from the Bears, the Raiders, the Giants. You guys all are awesome. Good luck to your teams in 2023. Stay tuned to the channel. You can check me out also on Seahawks today, Ravens Rundown, Patriots today. Trace is manning the ship on Saints Now, doing a great job. If you're a Saints fan, even if you're not a Saints fan, show Trace some love and go check out Saints Now. Subscribe today, and you'll be glad you did. We will sign off. Have a great rest of your night. Stick around later. NBA coverage of the finals tonight with our crew. Chase Sr. is going to be here. Also, Nicholas Roloff. They'll be all over Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight right here on the channel. We are signing off. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.